What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
My class, when I went through, my class, for whatever weird reason, had 110 guys. I'm not sure why we had 10 extra guys, but we had 10 extra guys. Of the 110 that started, 6 of us completed the course. Of the 6 that completed the course, 3 of us got selected. I was the youngest Delta operator ever at the time, at the age of 23, to get selected. The other 2 guys were 33. So think about that for a minute. We've had some classes where 1 guy has made it or no guys have made it. Okay, that's how difficult it is. When people talk about SEALs and buds and blah, 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 let me tell you what the difference is between, yeah, you said it, right? I'm not going to say it, but, some of them are my friends. I don't want them beating me up either. But here's the difference, right, with Delta Force selection and, let's say, buds, for example. And you see it all the time, right? SEALs, they're all on the beach running around, and they're carrying boats and rolling around the sand, getting wet, and singing and yelling and hollering and crying, pissing and moaning, doing flutter kicks in the waves. But they're doing it as what? As a group, right? And so when you're in a group, what can you do in a group? You can draw power, motivation, inspiration from the other guys. When your crank is dragging in the dirt, you're like, I've had enough, and you see Joe Snuffy over here that's worse than you, but he's hanging in there, you kind of get inspired to keep going on, right? You don't want to quit before he does.
Right.
But when you go through Delta Force selection, it's an individual effort. You're not with any group. You're all by yourself. Every day, all day long, everything you do is by yourself. Moreover, you do not know these standards of performance, right? They don't tell you what they are. They give you the task.
What do you mean they don't tell you what they are?
You don't know what they are. For example, what they'll do is, okay, here's the task. They don't tell you when it ends.
What's an example task?
Okay, for land navigation, for example. Okay, so think of this: you're in the mountains of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, wherever, right? And
sorry to hear
they're going
that.
to tell you, okay, today you're going to start at this point, and your next point, here's a grid coordinates for that. You have to navigate to that, and then when you get to that next point, give you more grid coordinates. You go to the next point, the next point, next point, next point, and now you're walking through mountains, rucksack on your back. It's raining, it's snowing, it's freezing. You're tired because you're walking up and down mountains. You're full of mud and piss and vinegar, and you don't know when it's going to end. And we ask, sir, how much time do I have? The automatic response, and I know this because I was a cadre a couple times, was do the best you can. But sir, how much time do I have? Do the best you can. And then with a straight face, right? There's no encouragement. There's no discouragement. It's like you're talking to freaking robots, and
that's so bizarre. I've never heard anything like that from the military.
Yeah, there's no other place in the military that does that, right? It's just this organization. And so what does that do to you? So every day you're doing the best you can, right? Which means going balls to the walls every day, all day long, up and down these mountains. You don't know when it's going to end.
Do you know how long?
You don't.
No. But do you know after the fact, like if your length of time that you did it is the same as others, or does that vary too?
You don't know. You don't know anything. They don't tell you anything, right? So, and the reason you don't know anything is because here's what happens. So you're out there by yourself for a couple of weeks, all alone, every day, under pressure, under stress. You don't know what the standard of performance is, but you must be making the grade because you're still here. They haven't canned you yet. And so what happens is you physically start breaking down, okay, because you're pushing yourself as hard as you can because you want to make it. And then when your body starts to break down, the mind starts breaking down, right? So, and guess what? They're not breaking you down. You're breaking yourself down. They're going, here's the standard. Just do it. And you just do it, and you break yourself down, and you can't blame them. You got to blame yourself. It's like, well, they just told me to do it. How hard I do it's up to me, right? And so, so what happens is your mind starts to go, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the guy that has no body left. Physically, he's done. Can he still motivate himself to perform anyways, by himself? No inspiration, no motivation. He's not looking at Joe Snuffy over here, and getting motivation from that guy. He's all alone. He's in the woods by himself every day at night, in the rain. And whether he succeeds or not is all on him. And this really has a psychological effect.
Oh, yeah.
A huge psychological effect. You're isolated, and you're looking for some type of encouragement from, the instructors, and they're just stone-faced.
How long are the days?
They can go all day, all night.
They go all day, all night.
Yeah, and it's like.
Like, what was the longest session you had? 36 hours, something like that?
Well, let me put it this way. I did at least 40 miles in one stretch. I can't tell you the numbers, the time.
With gear.
With all my stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And but I can't give you the times because I would be giving away too much information. And but I've done 40 milers more than once, straight, nonstop. Like nonstop through mountainous terrain, weather, everything else. So it is by far the hardest selection in the world. because you're all alone. And this is where you really separate the wheat from the chaff. This is when you really get to see what a man's made out of.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I remember when there was one particular day, closer towards the end of the course, and it was raining every day. It was freezing. It was the year of the 100-year floods. The Cheat River in Virginia went over the banks like 12 feet. Everything was underwater. And I'm crossing a farm field. It's very foggy and rainy. And I just get literally stuck in the mud. I'm up to my knees in mud, and I got no gas left. I'm just worn out. It's, you know, it's late in the course. I've expended everything I had. And I know that somewhere in that direction in the fog, there's a mountain, and I got to go to the top of that mountain. And I pull out my map sheet, which was like a soggy toilet paper, you know, just falling apart and stuff. I'm trying to hold it up and orient something.
Back in the days, we had maps.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
We had maps too, but we also had, you know, yeah, right. We had maps, but on this particular day, they told us to draw our own map, right? And so I had it in my pocket, got soaking wet and turned into toilet tissue. And I remember standing there, couldn't move my legs, and I was so demoralized, so beat down, so physically exhausted. I just stood there and I thought, man, I started crying. I mean, I literally started tearing up, and I was like, you know, I quit, man. I had enough, you know, and I'm just, this is just too much. And I'm a stud. And I finally, I hit that breaking point. And I stood there for a few minutes, and then I started to reason with myself. I go, well, Comstock, you know what? Nobody's coming to get you. Nobody's coming out here and picking you up out of the mud and carrying you out, right? So no helicopters flying. Nobody knows where you are. You know, you're here by yourself.
And there's no instructor anywhere near you. Nowhere near you. They just sent you off completely.
Yeah. In fact, I've had to go out and fly out on some of the, when I was an instructor, I actually flew out with search and rescue helicopters looking for guys, and I'd have to go down on a jungle penetrator and pick them up off the ground and carry them out, you know, out on the helicopter. But anyways, I finally started talking to myself. I go, what are you going to do? You know, you can't stay here. If you want out, you got to go get out of the farm field, go top that mountain. When you get up there, you can, we call Victor whiskey, voluntary withdrawal, right? Sorry, I like the Victor whiskey, voluntary withdrawal. And I thought, okay, that's the plan. I get to the top of Victor whiskey. So now I go up this mountain, I get to the top, make it, there's a rendezvous point there. There's the instructor sitting in the truck. And
what do you mean rendezvous point in this context?
Well, because I have to go to different rendezvous points to pick up my new grid course for my next leg, right?
Got it.
And so I get up there and I'm thinking about, okay, I want a Victor whiskey, and I'm like, wait, Comstock, stop. I said, you're on the top of the mountain. You can roll back down the mountain if you have to, because it's the only way you're going to go, right? So I managed to not Victor whiskey, voluntary withdrawal, and I went and got my next grade coordinates, and I went down the mountain, and I continued on. And here I am, right? So I got to tell you, it was one of the most challenging, mentally one of the most challenging, and physically one of the most challenging things I've ever done in my life. The numbers, you know, obviously, the numbers bear that out. It's probably the hardest course in the world.
And as you said, they pick 100 people twice a year, and of those 100, a few make it.
Yeah.
So when you go in, you're going into a team of guys who have been. It's in this way. It's similar to the SEALs who have been past all different years in there, and then you just join up.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're the FNG, right? The freaking new guy, and so
you can say fucking on here, by the way.
Okay, yeah. I don't want to offend nobody out there.
Nah, don't worry about it. We're good. Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.